No problem.
You know, whenever council, like Mr. Poach, when he had the floor, I wasn't counting that
Right.
time, of course, but I'll give you your 5 minutes. If there's any interjection, I'll try to pause the clock, and we'll kind of keep it close.
Sure, thank you. My name is David Mintz. Just to follow up, I guess maybe I don't know if I want to call it confusion or just to clarify with what Dr. Beck was saying. We've kind of gone back and forth on the same subject of, maybe some of us in the community, or including myself on the Citizens Night, mentioned your intention to potentially make an ordinance that's more updated and more defining than what we have now. And the response back and forth has basically been that they're restricted to M2, and the DEP does have its own parameters and regulations. But I mean, I guess my confusion is sitting there and coming up and asking is that only a matter of months ago, and I did reference this at the Citizens Night as well, only a matter of months ago, the council, I suppose that's how it worked, the council instructed or advised Mr. Ratcher to write a more defining ordinance that then was withdrawn because a lot of us did have concerns, and I guess the council agreed that why were we changing it from M2 to S1 Conservancy. And so we decided that that was something that was too much to overcome, the change from M2 to S1. We being our council, Monroeville Council, withdrew it. From that point, it seemed like something that we would then work with. The Allegheny County made some comments about some of the things that needed worked on in the proposed ordinance, separate from the move from M2 to S1, just some other wording, some other things that we could do or couldn't do. So those were things that could be worked on. Leaving it in M2 is something we could just decide to do, as was decided months before that, late last year in 2017. I guess my question is, in much less than 5 minutes, is why were we willing to, I suppose, looked like Mr. Ratcher put a lot of work into that, and it was a work in progress. Why were we willing to do it then, but now it seems like every time it's brought up, it's kind of the idea that, well, we kept them to M2 and DEP has its own, and we're kind of done with that for now. But why were we willing a few months ago to put all that work into it, but now it's...
Well, we were willing, and then we had yourself and Sustainable Monroeville telling us not to.
Well, not...
And the statement we got from Sustainable Monroeville was, leave it in M2 for now. Don't do anything. Let's wait until some of these court cases come through and things evolve. And that's what we've decided to do, is hold off until those things happen.
Okay, so it's more a matter of waiting for particular court cases, including the Gorsaline one that was decided late last week, or the week before. Are there other particular court cases that we're waiting for before we kind of move forward to work on our own? Is there like, oh, we're waiting for this one and that one, or is there...
I can't recall the other one that Sustainable Monroeville mentioned in the letter that they drafted to us.
Okay.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
But there is one in particular that we're waiting for then.
So.
Like the council. When I say we, meaning the council, when we...
That's what the recommendation was,
right.
from Sustainable Monroeville. And not that we go 100% with what Sustainable Monroeville.
Sure, absolutely. It's just recommendation.
What's best for the entire community.
Right.
And I believe maybe council felt that we put a new ordinance out there. The residents spoke and said they didn't want it, so we...
Mr. Ritz, I have a question for you as well, too.
And you're also my councilman, just so...
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
What I'm confused about, having picked back up only into January, but for this too, I'm not sure how we gave you the impression we weren't going to continue to have this under kind of constant review. So if that's the case, then perhaps that's inappropriate on our part, because in our discussions that we've had as it's moved forward concerning the ordinance previously as well, I don't think this is ever going to not be under review.
Oh, okay, maybe a communication issue. It's just that I guess in my own experience personally, and that's all I can speak to, is when I come to the meetings, it sounds like there's almost a certain... and I'm glad it's only in M2. I mean, it's not that we've done that, and that the DEP has, I've heard several times.
Have we left you with the impression that we think that's going to go away? The answer is I don't think so, no.
It being the
entire topic of the safety and health and welfare of the community related to issues that Sustainable Monroeville brings to us as well. I mean, I
guess from my point of view, it seemed that maybe we were just settled on letting the DEP be the ones who completely decided all of our setbacks and any other regulations, when only a few months ago Mr. Ratcher had written a Monroeville version itself. So I was just kind of wondering, are we ever going to go back to that without changing it to S1. I mean, just because we write a Monroeville ordinance that provides our own level of protection doesn't mean it has to be moved to S1. Those aren't conjoined, right? We can leave it in M2 and have our own setbacks based on science that may be, you know, a little bit different than the DEP's, and I don't know if that's the concern that we were, but it just seemed that a few months ago we were willing to do it, and just because we didn't want it, we being a lot of the community didn't want it to be an S1, I'm glad it was withdrawn from being voted on. I just wanted to make sure, and maybe Mr. Poach is what he's telling me is that it's not just settled that we're just leaving the DEP as the only.
I don't think we've ever said
Okay.
that.
No,
Okay.
no, I'm
It
just
just
saying
seemed
that
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 that's the-
protective measure is there.
No, I don't
currently.
think we've ever
Not
said
saying
that.
that's what we only will go by.
Right,
but
okay.
Just being clear that there are regulations in place.
Oh, I understand that, but maybe we were going to have our own, and that they were going to be up for vote not that long ago, if there wasn't, including myself, some concern about moving it from M2 to S1. So I just want to make sure that that's still in play.
You can be sure it is.
Okay. It just seemed like it wasn't, and I just wanted to clarify that for everybody who's watching at home.
Very good.
All right, thank you
Would
so
you
much.
do me a favor, please?
Yes.
Dr. Beck, can you copy that onto your